Hello everyone, Kayla here, and this is What the Kink, a natural hair channel where I share my personal hair journey and tips, tricks, and product reviews to help you with your own. Today is, of course, another detangle and talk. The detangle part of the video is being done with the Eden Body Works Aloe and Lavender Conditioner. I will link the video in which I was actually fully exploring this conditioner, and then I also will link the conditioner down in the description box if you just want directly to go to the page and just read directly from them or directly from the retailer about the product. The brush I'm going to be using is the Curl Keeper Flexi brush. There are several brushes that look exactly like this, so anytime I use this brush, I just link all of the brushes. My husband is a busybody and he's always doing something. It's difficult for me to film around him, so he's doing things in that bathroom behind me that involve running water. So it is what it is. So anyhow, the talk part of this video. I know y'all read the title. Okay, I know you read the title and you were like, what? 30 pounds? What? So my regular viewers, no, you did not miss anything. You guys have only ever known me as the smaller me. You have never known me before, so this is probably news to you. But to give a little bit of background on this, I lost over 30 pounds back in 2013. I also dropped 3 clothing sizes down to the size that I currently wear now. And the funny thing about this story is the kind of the beginnings of it is I am not someone who would have ever have lost weight ever, okay? I am someone who, had certain events not occurred, I would still be overweight and I would be happy with it. Like literally, like lose weight for what? For what? Let me explain to you a little bit of my thought process on that and why I was overweight and happy with it. First thing, I was a brick house, okay? Meaning she mighty, just letting it all hang out. Like, I was solid, you know what I mean? So, meaning I might be wearing a bikini and nothing is wiggling and jiggling, honey. It's, you know, so I just thought that I was the baddest chick. You know, there is that African American beauty standard of thicker being better. And I felt like I'm really in my prime right now. I'm looking good. Look, I can catch them with this. So I was very confident in the way that I looked as far as that. And then technically, though I was overweight and have been overweight my whole life. So I was overweight. I can't really remember elementary school or not, but definitely middle school, definitely high school, definitely college. So overweight that entire time, but I was like what you would consider like a slightly overweight. So like for a woman of my height, I was weighing in at the mid to late 150s and I'm 5'5". So like, yes, that's overweight, but it's like barely. Like, I think that's only like maybe 10 pounds outside of the healthy weight range for a woman of my height. So I wasn't like super overweight, and so in my mind, if I'm so close to being healthy weight, I'm healthy weight. All the doctors are angry right now at me. So anyway, and then also the third factor that made me happily where I was is that, as I said, I weighed in the mid to upper 150s and I maintained that. My weight was pretty consistent. It never really went up. You know, it didn't go down either, but I wasn't worried about that. Because again, black standard of beauty, I thought that I would be less attractive if I lost weight anyway. So I was pretty confident, y'all, in my standing. So here's what shook me. Here's what got your girl. Every now and then I would occasionally gain weight into the low 160s. For me and personally, the way my body, the weight is distributed and the way my body looks, when I hit the low 160s, I get a double chin. I like a noticeable little double chin. And I start to feel uncomfortable. Just in general, I guess I know what it feels like to not be that weight. And then when I get there, I just feel uncomfortable. And then also my clothing would get tighter. And mind you, I was wearing Junior's clothing at this time. I wore a Junior size 11. And if you're not familiar with Junior sizing, that is the second largest size before you go into plus size. So I definitely, when I would gain into the low 160s, I would almost need a 13, which is the largest standard size that you wear in Juniors. Before, after that, you're going to Juniors Plus. And actually, at one point, y'all, I did wear Girls Plus. Right before I started wearing Juniors clothes, I did wear Girls Plus. So, I would go up in weight. And I would go up in weight at least during college. I went there twice. And it was because when I was in school, I was walking everywhere, you know, and I was eating things that I would not normally eat at home. But the weight I wasn't seeing the weight because of all the walking and exercise and stuff like that. But then I would come home in the summertime, and it's a lifestyle shift. I'm less active. I'm not running to class and things like that. And so then the weight would come up. But the thing is, when I would go back to school in the fall, my weight would just go back down. So it really wasn't a big deal. Well, I graduated college and I got married. Lifestyle changed. And my weight, I noticed a little after my wedding, I noticed my weight creeping up. And I was like, okay, there isn't any school to fall back on to just take the weight off naturally like I've been doing in the past. The weight's not going to fall off. I got to do something. So the whole thing that spurred me to lose weight is that I just was bothered by the fact that I was not maintaining my weight. So the whole goal was to stop the weight gain. And I wanted to, in the end result, still be overweight, guys. That was the end goal. I wanted to still weigh in the mid-50s, 150s. I just wanted to maintain, as I had been doing for years. So the whole end goal was to still be overweight. So anyways, I tried a couple of things. First of all, I tried calorie counting apps. I find it just to be, it's frustrating to count your calories and all your food. And I'm just thinking, and you know me, I start calculating. And I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have to count calories for the rest of my life. And I'm gonna have to count calories and everything. And I'm like, other people around me ain't counting calories. And then people want to be in your business if they see you count calories and stuff. And I was just like, ugh. And I would count the calories. And the thing about calorie counting is that if you're not focused on eating better foods, you will be forever in a losing game with counting calories. Because you will lose the weight, but then it'll keep asking you to eat lower and lower and lower calories. And at some point it becomes unsustainable. And so I tried that. And then I also tried to do like lots of exercise. So I did Couch to 5K, which is like a running program. I don't like running at all. Like, I hate running. Like, no, never. And I did all these things. And so, I mean, I saw some mild weight loss, but it really wasn't anything that was like enough to write home about. And I knew that it was things that I was just not going to be sitting up doing. Like, me running? Girl, no. So I don't know how I came across it, guys, but I discovered something called No S Diet. And I was like, what is this? And so No S Diet is actually not a diet. It's a habit. It's by this guy named Reinhardt, who's like really into making habits. He has a whole little website with like many websites based off of the different habits that he has for different areas in his life. I'll link his stuff because he's definitely a rabbit hole kind of guy, and I like it. So anyway, No S Diet can be summed up in a cute little poem, and it was like, no snacks, no sweets, no seconds, except for sometimes on days that start with S. And that's Saturdays, Sundays, and special occasions. So it means on a regular day, eat you 3 plates of food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, then on the weekends, go buck wild. At somebody's auntie's great auntie party or whatever, go wild. Like, do your thing. But on the weekdays, keep it simple. Get you 3 meals. And so at first I was like, my first thought was, this must be starvation. And I counted calories for the first 2 weeks that I did this. And I was freaking shocked. I was like, oh my God, like I'm effortlessly taking in like a lower amount of calories, but I'm like still eating. Like I'm not starving. I said, wait a minute. Yes. Okay. And there were a couple of transitional things. So like at the beginning of doing No S, the weekends were crazy. Like I was eating up everything, y'all, all the junk. But then after a while, I started to notice the great difference in how I felt on the weekends versus how I felt on the weekdays. And then I eventually made a switch over to where, like, I can't even tell you how long it took for me to get like this. But I started definitely eating more like my weekdays, but on the weekend. And so the treats were more far and few in between. No S really showed me how much unnecessary random eating that I would do. I never would have coined myself as a snacker, but I guess I was just eating a lot of like extra food or like getting candy just because and things like that. And No S really showed me how much of that crap that I was doing and how the calories quickly add up for that kind of stuff. By the way, after the first 2 weeks, I stopped counting calories because I realized I'm effortlessly staying in a healthy range for someone of my height and weight and whatever, effortlessly. Over the course of a year following No S, I lost over 30 pounds. Just this habit change, y'all. Some of y'all already tuned out when you realized I wasn't going to talk about something hardcore. But for the people that are still here, in a course of over a year, y'all, or about a year, over 30 pounds, and I dropped 3 clothing sizes. Just from breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks and treats at the birthday parties and the weekend. Literally. That's it. And for exercise, what I started doing is high intensity interval training because it's like 20 minutes. I don't want to work out for a long time. I'm not into working out. At first I was doing that 5 days a week, and then I shifted it to just 3 days a week. And it didn't really affect any type of weight loss or anything like that. So, this actually is not the actual full end to the story. So like I said, this was like 2013 or so. And then I maintained my smallest weight, which was very tiny, guys. I was very, 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 very skinny. I weighed less than I do right now. Actually, it's a long story, and I'm probably not going to get to it because I'm almost done. But right now, currently, I weigh less than 10 pounds more than I did back then. There's a long story and reason as to why I'm back this skinny again. But I was skinny. The smallest I have ever been back then. So, back when I was there, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. There we go. I'm back on my train of thought. So, I weighed that for maybe like a year or two. And then I went vegan. Sis. And mind you, this whole time I was pescatarian. I was pescatarian when I was overweight, and pescatarian when I lost weight, pescatarian when I was maintaining the weight loss. But I decided to go vegan. And when I went vegan, I slowly started like incrementally in like small groups of like 2 pounds, 3 pounds, whatever. Over the years, I started to put on weight. And I kind of accepted it. I was just like, if I want to be vegan, I just have to weigh more to be vegan. And I guess that's that on that. I made up my mind, like, I want to be vegan, so I just have to weigh more. That's it. Plus, like I told you guys, I was really skinny, so it was like, I could gain a couple pounds anyway. So, eventually, though, in 2020, during the height of the pandeezy, I actually started paying attention to those high carb, low fat, starch solution, Dr. John McDougall following vegans. I finally started listening to them, and I switched over to more of a starch solution 50-50 plate style of eating. And by the way, I still follow No S. I still eat like No S to this day. I've never stopped that habit. But anyway, I now just shifted the plate to be half vegetables and half starchy vegetables, and just like really, really, really increasing that portion. And then starchy vegetables, I mean like, you know, like squashes, potatoes, rice. Rice is not a starchy vegetable, but it's a starch, you know what I mean. So I switched over to more so eating that way at the height of the pandemic, and that finally shifted the I went vegan pounds. I lost weight into the upper 130s, which you know what, I never said how skinny I was at my skinniest, did I? When I was at my skinniest, I was in the mid 120s. That's how skinny I was. So I lost weight into the upper 130s in 2020, the height of the pandemic, and then 2021, I maintained that like weight, like literally, like the whole time. Very easy to follow it. Again, eating my No S diet. Meanwhile, making the plates out like the starch solution has you to make the plates. I'm not going in super detail here, guys. I'm so sorry, but I'm really not that excited about this weight loss stuff. I just happen to make good and healthy choices for myself. The side effect is weight loss, but I'm not one of those like health fitness nut type people. But anyhow, yeah, so as a result, I went from my current clothing size from being a little tight to being on the smaller side of that clothing size. So I've not changed clothing sizes since 2013. But anyway, so then at the beginning of 2022, I started putting on weight again. Like, I'm talking like a pound a month, like consistently. And I'm just like, what is going on? Why am I putting on weight? Because I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm following my No S diet. I'm eating starch solution. I'm eating, you know, like my potatoes and my rice and plenty of vegetables and stuff like that, using calorie density. Why am I putting on weight? It does not make sense. And so it's the same kind of confusion I had after doing No S for so long, wondering why I'm doing the thing that I lost weight, but I'm like putting on weight. Oh, side note, I will say that in the pandemic, when I lost all that, when I lost that weight doing starch solution, that was with zero exercise, none at all. You're gonna learn through, well, if you haven't picked up already, exercise has not really done anything for me to lose weight. Exercise is just nice to do so that you're healthy. That's really the only role that exercise has ever really had for me. But anyway, so we are in 2022 and I'm like putting on weight and I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. And then I really started to have these thoughts about like appetite, like eating when hungry only, stopping when full, and things like that. I was kind of having these ideas, and then I came across this video by this girl named Rundown with Rachel, and she recommended a book called, like, I think it's called The Rules of Normal Eating or something like that. So I read this book, and the book pretty much confirmed everything that I was saying, but it took it a step further, and it actually talked about like cravings too, like eat the cravings, and then the second that the craving is like not hitting, like the first bite is like, usually when you have the first bite of something you're craving, it's like, oh my god, yes. And then after you're a couple of bites a night, at least for me, it's like either not hitting, not as special, or I'm at that point just eating it for completion. So I really started going really hard into the eat only when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full, eat the stuff I'm craving, but like stop when it's not hitting anymore. And this is simple, right? Like basically just keeping myself not hungry all the time. That's basically the best way I can explain it. It's just keeping myself not hungry and not craving. Not hungry and not craving, and just seeking a state of not hungry and not craving. And y'all, again, I was looking at the scale like, what the... Now, as far as exercise, I keep talking about exercise because I know y'all are going to ask, so I'm trying to like get ahead of people there. As far as exercise, I currently do indoor walking with Leslie Sansone. I love it. And I listen to books while I do it. I listen to books while I'm doing walking with Leslie Sansone. I absolutely love it. So anyway, y'all, the weight just started running off. Typically in the past when I've lost weight, it's been like 2 pounds a month. Like when I originally did my whole thing with No S diet, it was about 2 pounds a month when I was losing the weight during the pandemic, after switching over to calorie density, high carb, low fat, vegan, blah, 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 starch solution. Again, about 2 pounds a month, even with no exercise. And then this time, it would sometimes be higher than that. Like, the weight was falling off. Like, what the heck? Like, it came to a point where I was thinking, maybe there was something wrong with me. Maybe it's not that I've changed my habits, but maybe I was sick, or maybe there was something going on with my health, or this is what I'm thinking, right? But then I was like, no, I was just eating using external cues. Saying, like, using the time of the day to determine when I should eat, or using the size of my bowl or my plate to determine how much I should eat, and not really focusing on the fact that even though they've given you a plate full of food, if you're not hungry about halfway in anymore, stop eating it, get a doggy bag and take it home. You know what I mean? And I even started trying to tweak the portions of the food that I make for myself at home, when I realized that I was leaving corners of food on my plate at home. Like, listen, when I first started switching to paying attention to this, y'all, I left all types of stuff in my wake, like half drunk cups of beer, and I'm not a big beer drinker, but I've had a couple good ones over the holiday. Half drunk cups of beer, bottles, like glasses of wine I didn't finish, desserts that didn't get eaten all the way, like plates of regular food that just, like, half the plate is not finished, or I ate 3/4 of the plate and didn't. I was like, dang, bruh. And I do think as I get smaller, my appetite is decreasing. And sometimes my appetite is really high and I eat everything. And then other days it's not, And so once I started doing that, at this point in the last quarter of 2022, I lost all the weight that I gained in 2022, the beginning, all of it lost. And then I lost a couple more pounds from that. So now, like I said, at the end of the first time I lost weight, I was in the low 120s, well, mid 120s. At the end of the starch solution Pandeezy situation, I was in the high 130s. I currently weigh in the low 130s, and I am, as I said earlier, less than 10 pounds away from when I was super duper really skinny. And y'all, I'm eating what I want to eat. Like, people don't want to hear that you can lose weight through a habit change. Like, people don't want to hear that habit change is very powerful, and that you don't have to count everything that you're eating, and that you don't have to do ridiculous amounts of exercise. Like, people don't want to hear that. But I really haven't given that much detail. I know I tried my best, guys, but this is a long story that covers many years. So I'm gonna link resources for each and every single one of these, like, trains that I got on during this process, so that you can, like, kind of go more in depth with the information, like books and websites and things like that. And there's a couple of parting things that I want to say here. Number one, veganism really didn't relate to any of this. Like, you do not have to be vegan to adopt these habits that I adopted. And number two, all the habits together now are exactly what I was doing back when I was at my skinniest. So I was definitely only eating when I was hungry back then. I just didn't remember it because it wasn't the focus. I was focusing on no S and not focusing on anything else. So I was only eating when hungry, and stopping when full and stuff like that. Okay, maybe not stopping when full, but I was only eating when I was hungry. And then the whole thing of, like, starch solution with a half plate of vegetables, I was doing that back then too, but I didn't pay attention to it because I was focusing on the whole no S, 3 plates, make my plate good quality so I'm not hungry until the next plate, that I didn't realize that I was doing these things and these habits. So, like, basically I've just come full circle, and now I'm doing all the things that I used to do back then, but just didn't realize that I was doing. That's enough for me, child. I don't even know if I'm gonna put this up. So if you saw this video, great.